We live in a world full of habits. Every day, without realizing it, we open the same apps, scroll through the same feeds, and follow the same routines. Think about it. When you're bored, where does your mind go first? Maybe it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or your favorite game. You don't really plan it, it just happens. That's the power of habit. In his book, Hooked, How to Build Habit-Forming Products, author Eyal explores why we get pulled into certain products again and again, and how businesses design experiences that keep us coming back. The point isn't to make things addictive just for profit. It's about understanding what makes people care enough to use something repeatedly, to make a product so useful and so natural that it becomes part of everyday life. Eyal explains that our behavior often follows patterns that can be predicted and shaped. Companies that understand these patterns can build products that create strong habits. And these habits, once formed, become powerful, not because they're forced, but because they feel automatic. At the heart of the book is something called the hook model. It's a simple idea with 4 main steps: trigger, action, variable reward, and investment. These steps are like a loop. Each one leads to the next, and together they keep the user engaged over time. Think of a trigger as the spark that starts everything. It could be an external signal like a notification, or an internal one like a feeling, boredom, loneliness, or curiosity. That trigger pushes us toward an action, something easy and quick to do. Maybe it's opening an app, scrolling, or clicking. Then comes the reward, a small moment of satisfaction or surprise that makes us feel good. And finally, there's investment, the effort or time we put into the product which makes us more likely to return. If that sounds familiar, it's because it mirrors how many of our digital habits work. You see a notification, that's the trigger. You open it, that's the action. You get a like, a message, or a funny video, that's the reward. You comment or post something, that's the investment. And before long, you're hooked. But Eyal isn't just describing a trap. He also talks about how the same system can be used for good, to help people form positive habits. Apps that encourage you to meditate, exercise, or learn a new skill can use the same psychology that keeps people checking social media. The difference is in the purpose. In the end, the book challenges both creators and users to think deeply about how habits are formed. Why do we use what we use? What keeps us coming back? The answers to those questions shape not just our digital lives, but our daily behavior. Everything starts with triggers. Triggers are the cues that tell us to take action. They come in 2 forms, external and internal. External triggers are easy to spot, like the buzz of a notification, a message alert, or an email reminder. They tell you what to do next. You see a little red dot on your screen and immediately feel the urge to tap it. Internal triggers, on the other hand, are emotional. They come from within. When you feel bored, lonely, or curious, your brain looks for something to satisfy that feeling. That's when you open your favorite app or start scrolling. Over time, as a product becomes familiar, people don't even need the external reminders anymore. The internal feelings are enough to pull them back. Eyal explains that the best habit-forming products connect these 2 triggers. In the beginning, they rely on external ones to get your attention, but as you use the product and start linking it to certain emotions, those emotions become the new trigger. You don't need a buzz on your phone. You just think, "I wonder what's new," and you open the app without even realizing why. The goal for a product designer is to help that transition happen, from outside triggers to inside ones. It's not about manipulation, it's about creating real value that naturally fits into someone's life. For example, a fitness app might send reminders at first, but eventually the user feels motivated because they want that sense of progress or accomplishment. The reminder becomes unnecessary. Eyal also points out that not all triggers are healthy or helpful. Some companies rely on negative emotions like fear of missing out, but long-term success comes from products that make users feel empowered, not anxious. The best products solve real problems in people's lives and connect to authentic motivations. Once a trigger is in place, the next part of the loop begins, the action. This is the moment you do something in response to the trigger. Every habit begins with an action that delivers a small sense of reward. Eyal explains that successful actions share three qualities. They are simple, quick, and satisfying. Simplicity matters more than almost anything else. The fewer steps a person has to take, the more likely they are to follow through. For example, if opening an app requires a long login process, many users give up. But if the app opens instantly and shows something interesting right away, they stay. Many habit-forming products use what psychologists call tiny behaviors. A tiny behavior is so small it feels effortless. Clicking a heart icon, swiping a photo, or pulling down to refresh a feed, these actions require almost no thought. But over time, each small action reinforces the habit. Eyal connects this to something called the Fogg behavior model, created by researcher B.J. Fogg. It says behavior happens when motivation, ability, and a trigger meet at the same moment. If one of those is missing, the action won't happen. Motivation answers the question, do I want to do this? Ability asks, can I do it easily? And the trigger says, do it now. The hook model uses all three without you even realizing it. When you think about your favorite products, you can see this pattern everywhere. Opening Netflix, scrolling on TikTok, checking messages, or even ordering food online. All of these start with a trigger and lead straight into an easy, satisfying action. You don't have to think about it because your brain already knows the reward is coming. Eyal reminds us that actions don't have to be digital. A coffee shop app might encourage you to scan your phone to earn points, or a language app might prompt you to complete just one lesson. In both cases, the easier it is to start, the more likely you are to keep going. Designers focus on reducing what Eyal calls friction. Friction is anything that slows people down, confusing menus, too many options, or long loading times. Each bit of friction adds resistance, and resistance kills habit formation. When everything feels smooth and intuitive, habits grow naturally. The key insight is this: people don't form habits around complex actions, they form habits around effortless ones. After the action comes the third step, the reward. Rewards are what keep the loop alive. They give the user a reason to come back. But not all rewards are equal. Eyal talks about the power of variable rewards, rewards that change slightly each time. When you pull down to refresh your feed or open your notifications, you don't know exactly what you'll get. Maybe it's a funny post, a message, or nothing new at all. That uncertainty keeps your brain engaged. It's the same principle that makes slot machines addictive, the possibility of a surprise. Our brains love unpredictability. When we can't predict the outcome, dopamine levels rise, driving curiosity and anticipation. This makes variable rewards especially powerful in building habits. Eyal groups these rewards into three main types: rewards of the tribe, rewards of the hunt, and rewards of the self.
Great products often mix all three. Think of a fitness app that shows your streaks, lets you compete with friends, and unlocks achievements. It's social, surprising, and personally rewarding at the same time. But Eyal also warns that rewards alone aren't enough. If people don't feel in control, the experience can turn negative. The goal is to create delight, not dependency. Products should make people's lives better by reinforcing behaviors they value, not trapping them in endless loops. The idea of variable rewards also helps explain why people lose interest when experiences become predictable. Once the brain knows exactly what will happen, the excitement fades. That's why designers often introduce small changes or new challenges to keep